Hey everyone, just hanging out in my studio today, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. I started thinking about the things that I don't talk about, the things that I have dealt with in secret, the things that I have endured by myself, and it got me thinking, why? Why have I felt that these are things that I can't speak about? And really the answer that myself told myself was because I feel that I can't. There is this element of me being an extremely strong and put together and responsible and just take everything as it comes type person. And there's so much responsibility that I have on my personal plate and my professional plate that I felt that I couldn't share my weaknesses. And in essence, now, thinking really in depth, because it has affected me so much, my weaknesses became huge things that I could no longer ignore, that I could no longer pretend didn't exist, that I could no longer hide. So I started dealing with them one by one. I started dealing with them. I started addressing them. I started seeking assistance with them. I started getting help with them. I started talking about them. And I wanted to also start bringing it out in my platforms because it's a part of me. And not only is it a part of me, but I feel that it will also allow other people, hopefully, the avenue to start talking about things that they deal with and that maybe they might feel like you can't talk about and you can't bring them up either, because maybe there's a sense of insecurity around them, or shame around them, or just you don't want to associate with whatever it is that's afflicting you. But the more that you live with it, the more you realize that it's part of you. It's who you are. It's part of who you are. So it's better to talk about it. So the things that I'm referring to myself, the things that I have dealt with by myself that I haven't never talked about publicly, has been PTSD. I have dealt with severe PTSD since I was a child. I can see now how much it affected me and how much more it affected me that I never dealt with it until I was an adult. And even then, it wasn't really effective until a few years ago when I truly said, I need to deal with all of this because I can tell how much it has been hurting me my whole life. I feel that a lot of the other afflictions that I will get into next stem from unresolved PTSD issues that I've dealt with since I was a child. And I will get into my specific traumas in other in other talks, because I do want to start unfolding this slowly and bringing it out there in the hopes that it helps other people, but also for personal healing and personal validation for myself, for that inner little girl, for that inner teen, for that hurt woman inside that never got to speak. Right? So I feel like I need to give all of these elements within myself a voice, and I need to let them out, and I need to love them and just tell them that I value them. Right? So, for example, I feel that, my PTSD, because it went unresolved and undealt with for so long, just catapulted and just got bigger and bigger and bigger within me, and then presented itself in various different ways. So as an adult, I have dealt with severe anxiety, and it wasn't anything that I could ever pinpoint as to why. I started having panic attacks, and the panic attacks would come out of nowhere. I wasn't walking around anxious. I wasn't walking around afraid, scared. It's just all of a sudden it would come over me, and my heart would start going really fast, and then that would lead to more anxiety, and I felt like my body was telling me, we can't pretend anymore. It was a way I felt that it was forcing me to deal that something was severely wrong, and that even though I had not dealt with it, it had not gone away. It was in there somewhere, and it was presenting itself in ways that I could no longer ignore, which began with random panic attacks. Now, nothing is random, I know that, but for me, it felt random because I felt like there was nowhere that it could have come from. The day, the time, the place that my panic attacks started happening, when I started experiencing that severe anxiety that really just took over my life for about 6 months, when I really started saying to myself, I need to get help with this. And I did. I sought some help. I've been in counseling ever since. There's things that I've talked about there that I've never talked about before. I've also gotten assistance with some medication that has assisted me to just keep things very calm, and it's something that I felt was a big win for me, because I have been so against medication for a long time, and that stemmed from seeing my father become addicted to prescription medication for years and years and years and years and years. Ever since I can remember, he became addicted, and he would abuse the medication. So that started this whole hatred, I guess, within myself for the pharmaceutical industry, right? I'm extremely prone to go to alternative remedies and medicine, and herbal remedies and medicine, and that's something that I'm very thankful that I know a lot about. So of course, when I started feeling these things that I was dealing with, that was my first course of action to try medication and try meditation. To try meditation and try herbs and try teas and try alternative means to deal with it, homeopathy and things like that, right? And although I felt some sort of relief, I felt that this was beyond what I could self medicate, right? So I sought help, and it was the best thing I ever did. It really started this domino effect of me opening up all the doors that I had shut for so long, that were sitting there, that I had ignored because they were too hard to deal with. And I talk about this too. There's times that there's certain things that we file away, and they're painful and hurtful, and we don't want to deal with them or think about them. We just pretend they don't exist. But that doesn't mean that they don't exist. They very much exist, and they don't go away. And at some point, they will force you to look at them again. Hey, we're still here. This is still hurting. We haven't dealt with this, right? So it really got me to do some severe self-work and begin the journey to what I call my true healing. I am absolutely not done. I'm just getting started. But I wanted to share with you that my body, my mind, they forced me to look at something that I did not want to look at. And I'm very thankful for that. So the PTSD, the anxiety, that led to panic attacks. Once the panic attacks started to become manageable, where I stopped having panic attacks, thank goodness. I haven't had one since, and I'm so thankful for that too. I really started to pay attention to how my mind really operates, how things work, because I started noticing there was a lot of things that I had not paid attention to. It was just the way it was. This is the way it is. This is the way I am. This is the way my brain works. But I started paying a lot more attention to things that I have carried with me for a very long time. And such as eating disorder. I realized that I have very horrible relationship with food, and body dysmorphia, and terrible relationship with dieting and going on programs and to try to lose weight as fast as possible. And I had to just stop, because I realized that this was only hurting me, because no matter what, and I look at pictures now when I was even 16 years old, and I thought I was fat at 16 years old, and I was probably 110 pounds, 115 pounds. In my mind, I was always bigger than I really was. And when I gained weight this last time, through COVID, through the anxiety and everything, I really realized how much of a negative approach it had been to keep dieting, keep going to these programs, because it becomes an addiction. It becomes an addiction to lose weight quickly. And I have no problem losing weight quickly. Let me tell you, okay? Like, I just did it again, late last year when I joined another program and lost 20 pounds in a month. And I was like, yay, and everybody was proud of me. And then I went back to eating normal food. And I mean, I haven't really gained a lot of weight back. I haven't. It's been like 3 pounds, I think I gained back. But I stopped losing. So then it just became this whole thing where I sat down with myself and I'm like, are you going to go on the roller coaster of dieting and not addressing the fact that you have an eating disorder, and that you have to rewire your brain to see food, exercise, and weight differently than you have been for the last 30 years. So I started working on that. I got away from all of the diet thinking, diet mentality. And I'm not saying that I'm, doing better with it as far as mentally goes, but I'm definitely addressing what I know is dangerous. I'm definitely seeing that most of these programs do not address the true reason why people are gaining weight. They just kind of instill very unhealthy patterns of living that, yes, you can sustain for 3-6 months, but they're not sustainable for life. And then you just kind of become another reason why somebody's falling back into these traps over and over and over again, right? So I just stopped. I stopped altogether. It just was not healthy for me. Still working on that, but that was another thing, that I've dealt with for a long, long time that I never really talked about. And then I started exploring ADHD. I started really paying attention to how my mind works, and I started really seeing, what, something's not right. This can't be, the way that everybody does things. And you know what it was too? I started looking at other people, and I'm like, how do they do that? I don't understand, how somebody can, let's say, for example, keep things so organized and in sequence. And I was like, I try, like, my brain is wired differently, and I always felt that way. But when I started getting deeper and deeper into some self-testing for ADHD and looking at the symptoms, and then like looking at how I was feeling and thinking, and looking at, certain things that I do for what seems like just everyday living that's not necessarily the normal way of thinking, right? I talked to my doctor and I said, I think that I have ADHD, and I think I've always had it. I just never realized that this is what it was. So, again, very helpful. Let's do some testing. Let's talk to a psychiatrist. Let's get you assessed. And guess what? Yes, I do. I have what is considered ADHD, adult ADHD. And that was a relief, because I said, okay, now I can do something about it. Now I can help myself to, address it in a way that will help me to be better and think better and feel better, right? It was also a relief, because there was a lot of things that I didn't understand why I thought the way I did, and why I felt the way I did, and why I saw things the way I did, and why I couldn't do certain things like other people did. And then that would bring me feelings of failure, feelings of sorry, just feelings of failure, feelings like I wasn't good enough, right? Because people do things like A, B, C, D, E, and then I was A to Z and back 3,000 times within the same period, right? And it's always been like that, but I never talked about it. I never realized that this was something that I could do something about, right? I didn't know it was a thing. So these are things that I have been uncovering and assisting myself with lately. I am very thankful that I'm here. I'm very thankful that I can address them, and very thankful that I can help myself. I'm also very thankful that I can talk about it now, because it feels good. It feels amazing. It feels like I'm finally able to address the things that I haven't addressed. And there's more doors. There's more doors that I've yet to open. But the ones that I have opened have been knocking for decades. And to be here, opening them, addressing them, embracing them, and saying, it's okay. I'm not going to ignore you any longer, and we're going to do something to help us be better and embrace this thing that I never really wanted to before, right? From my PTSD, from my relationship with food, from my horrible relationship with dieting and weight loss and weight gain, to my anxiety and panic, to the ADHD, and more. I feel that I am able to breathe, that I'm able to just realize that I am a human being, that all of these great things that I have accomplished, that everybody thinks I'm so amazing for, and that I've done it with all of these doors knocking as loud as possible while I've ignored them and not really realized that my brain needed the help and the assistance. It really makes me value myself, and also acknowledge myself and love myself for where I am, and for doing the things that I've done, for continuing to persevere and not be afraid of the next level, and not be afraid of addressing the things that need to be addressed, and not be ashamed of any of it. And to share it with you today just makes me very happy. So I want to share more with you. I do want to kind of unpack a lot of what led me to see each one of these, what led me to open each one of those doors, what it was like when I first opened each one of those doors, what it's like now, that I've been able to walk in those rooms and I've started to clean them out and I've started to see what's there and I've started to, bring in what needs to be done to make this functionable spaces in my psyche and my brain and my mind and my reality, right? These are things that I definitely want to share with you all. And I, just stay tuned. If you've listened to this whole thing, I really appreciate you. I hope that, we can connect and chat. And, if you've dealt with any of the things that I've dealt with and, have hidden them away for a long time like I did, and they've afflicted you in your life, or maybe you're at the point when you're beginning to see, maybe I'm neurodivergent. Maybe there's something within me that's not, what people consider the same as normal or whatever. Maybe we can open up a dialogue and conversation. There's so much that we can talk about, and I can't wait to get started. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you so much for listening to my story.